This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to
The Cleveland Cavaliers just beat the Brooklyn Nets 109-104 to win their 15th straight game. It's the second time this year that they've won 15 in a row. They have tied the longest win streak in the NBA, tying themselves and OKC. This game, as we've said, a little bit of an ugly win, but it's a win. They really kind of, just not good defensive effort in the first half. The offense was even worse at times. They went down by 18 at one point. Darius Garland felt invisible for a while. Evan Mobley, even though he had a pretty good game, didn't feel like he was super aggressive at times. Then in the second half, they just absolutely rallied together, put together a very strong second half. Darius Garland, huge fourth quarter. Corey, what's your general takeaway from this kind of mixed bag game?
I feel like the Cavs are just proving they can win in a variety of ways. We're seeing them have to overcome obstacles mostly set by themselves more than what the opponents are really throwing their way. The interest level comes and goes as teams go on the streaks that they're on, and it's not like the Cavs have been playing the elites of the league in this 15-game win streak, but they certainly are proving that when the postseason comes, they have a lot of stuff that they can go back to and kind of use as templates going forward. Like in this game, I mean, a fourth quarter in which that they outscore the Nets by 13 in a game where they were down by 18 at one point. That's something that, even though, yes, it's the Brooklyn Nets who are really not trying to do much for the rest of the season, it's still something where you have to, it should inspire more from the team than you should be kind of detracting it. And I feel like that's the split of the mindset of the fan base right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on these streams plenty, but think of the last few seasons, right? How many games that we felt like the Cavs should have been able to win, but they ended up dropping it in the final few minutes. This is the opposite of that. Every single game during this stretch that has been winnable, they have won, obviously, because it's a 15-game win streak, but they are just executing down the stretch, not allowing themselves to lose games. Even when they make some errors down the stretch, they out execute their opponent. And it's something that I know it's frustrating at times because you're like, why was this game in jeopardy? We're playing the Brooklyn Nets. They're 22-43, but the Brooklyn Nets played hard. They played really hard and they hit a lot of shots tonight. They hit 16 threes. Cam Thomas had it going at different times, and their defense is pretty switchable, pretty decent. So they managed to give the Cavs some problems. And obviously, no Donovan Mitchell tonight, no Ty Jerome, no DeAndre Hunter. The Cavs shoot just 23% from the three-point line. They only hit 10 threes without three of their best shooters on the floor. And for a while, it felt like generating offense was really, really difficult because the Cavs just didn't have any of the three main guys who can pull you out of a hole or spark a run. And so in the second half, it really kind of began with Jarrett Allen just deciding, all right, if we're going to miss every single three, I'm going to grab every single rebound. And he had 13 rebounds on the night. 6 of them were offensive. I'd imagine most of those came in the third quarter when he was just absolutely wreaking havoc on Brooklyn. Again, they're pretty solid defense, but they don't have that much size out there. Jarrett Allen looked like a beast, grabbing every offensive rebound, willing himself to the free throw line. He took 11 free throws tonight, and a lot of those were off the offensive rebounds and then going back up strong. So I thought Jarrett was one of the most important players on the floor tonight. Darius ended up stealing that from him in the fourth quarter, but without Jarrett Allen, we don't win tonight. And really, Evan Mobley, it felt quiet, but 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He was pretty good tonight too. The two bigs combining for 44 points and 22 rebounds. I thought they did a really good job. What did you think of that, Corey?
Yeah, I feel like Jarrett really helps set up second chance opportunities to help the Cavs kind of claw their way back into this game. If I had to hand out individual MVPs for the third and fourth quarter, obviously Jarrett would be the third for me. And then Darius in the fourth was really the life force of the offense. He really took it onto himself. And it was clear that his 3-point shot wasn't falling. He was 3 for 11 from the 3-point line, but he was getting into the teeth of the Brooklyn defense over and over again and converting some awesome layups. I mean, there was a move that he pulled off with like 2 minutes left in that game that Tony and I were like, I don't know if we have ever seen Darius Garland do that move before, but now I want to see it at least once a game. It was so clean, so smooth. Was a Donovan Mitchell-esque type move where he kind of Euros his way into a awkward opposite hand floater. It was nice. But yeah, these are types of games where you want your stars to kind of save you from games where it's clear that the bench can't really get it going. And yes, there was some even scoring distribution from the bench, but it's not something where we're kind of going to sit here and be like, remember that game against Brooklyn when the bench did X? Because yes, Craig Porter Jr. had moments of a good game. I would say he was probably the most impactful bench player in this game, but he also had some serious lowlights as well. I think it's just, the Cavs are in a position now where they're always going to get the best punch from whoever they're playing because teams want to be the team to stop the Cavs streak or to beat the best, what is acknowledged as the best team in the league. So that's where I just don't get surprised that games are closer than they used to be. Because when the Cavs were in a position like Brooklyn was, we would watch every game being like, let's hope if the Cavs can give them a good fight, that's a good sign for our franchise. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing in this recent stretch.
Yeah, that's a great point. Perspective is obviously important. Like for Brooklyn, this game means a whole lot. For Cleveland, this is just kind of a blip. I mean, they literally said, Ty Jerome, take the night off. You can rest tonight. Donovan Mitchell, you're hurting a little bit. You can sit. DeAndre Hunter, you got the flu, something, you got an illness. You'll sit out this game too. Like it's definitely a different vibe for both teams. But I wanted to talk about Darius for a second too, because you mentioned it and you hit on it really well. But 30 points, 8 assists, 4 big steals. I think more than half of his points came in the fourth quarter. I think he probably had 16 in the fourth at least. And so he was just on fire when they needed him most. Again, no Donovan Mitchell, no Ty Jerome. So he was like the only guard out there who could really create stuff. Max Strus didn't really have it going tonight, just 2 of 10 shooting. It felt like 2021 at times. The chat mentioned it a couple times. It was like, Darius, save us, right? Like, we need you to create stuff. We need you to score because no one else can figure out how to put the ball in the hoop right now. Darius, despite the fact that he shot 3 of 11 from 3, and he's really been in a rut from the 3-point line over the last few weeks, really the week and a half, 2 weeks, man, did he find a way to respond and get to the rim? Like, it was so awesome seeing him. He turns it over at one point, comes back down the floor, gets a steal, runs down the length of the floor, and then rather than pulling up, gets all the way to the rim. And that's something he did over and over again is rather than settling for the 3 or even the floater, he got all the way to the rim and finished some tough layups in the fourth quarter. That was really huge. You mentioned the one Donovan Mitchell-esque floater. It was like a sidestep floater running across the lane in a clutch moment of the game. He was huge in the clutch tonight. I think that looks like he was a team high plus 12. So Darius went from putting, a pretty bad game through the first 3 quarters to ending on such a high note that he was the best player on the floor, and it was really awesome. You mentioned the bench. This is the other thing, right? Without Mitchell, Jerome, or Hunter, you're going to need big games from other guys to make up for that. Unfortunately, Dean Wade, 1 of 4 from 3. Sam Merrill, 1 of 6 for 3. Javonte Green, 1 of 1 from 3, but do not be fooled because those Javonte Green minutes were pretty damn rough. And you know what? I like Javonte Green as a buyout pickup. I think he's genuinely a good piece to have as your 11th option on the team. But those 6 minutes he played tonight were a little rough. My man got stuffed on a attempt to dunk, and he did not get stuffed by an opposing player. He stuffed himself at the rim, and then he airballed the layup as well. And so just some, not a good stint for Javonte Green tonight. It didn't really work out for him. That's okay. Craig Porter Jr., pretty good off the bench, pretty solid. He had some bad moments. You said he had some shining moments. He had one truly shining moment where he buried a half-court shot going into the fourth quarter, which, in all seriousness, helped the Cavs really end that quarter with some momentum. Brooklyn had been fighting so hard all night, trying to hold the line, trying to stay in front, And then just when they think maybe they have a chance, Craig Porter rips their heart out with a half-court shot. That was awesome. And then the last person who I want to mention, and then you can take it wherever you want, Isaac Okoro. I'm going to keep saying it. The man, listen, let's be clear. He shot 0 of 5 from 3 and 3 of 10 from the floor. So he did not have a good offensive game. And really, nobody in the year 2025 is arguing that Isaac Okoro should be starting or even playing 33 minutes in a game, right? Like, you don't want him out there for his offense. You want to use him defensively and strategically. In this scenario, he's being overexerted for sure. But even with the bad shooting, he had some really impactful moments. The 6 points, it's not a lot, but he had a good drive out of the baseline, a very clutch offensive rebound at the end of the game, and his defense in the second half really started to make a difference. The Cavs couldn't get a stop throughout the first half, and Okoro finally started to assert his will. He forced Cam Johnson into a crucial turnover, did a good job on Cam Thomas, just suppressing him down the stretch. I know Dan Highway unfortunately lost his house on the bet tonight. We gave him the over-under. Someone led him astray. It might have been me. It might have not. Who could say? We don't save the playback log, so I can't really say. But Dan, unfortunately, Okoro didn't hit the threes, but he was impactful, and he did play a pretty solid game overall. And really, it's what we've seen all season with just little moments from different Cavaliers stepping up. Jarrett Allen having the huge third quarter. Darius with the huge fourth quarter. Okoro with little moments here and there. Craig Porter with a big moment. Even Sam Merrill, he only hits 1 of 6 threes, but that 1 3-pointer came at a pretty important time. And the 6 rebounds, like, he's fighting out there. This whole team played so hard for different moments. And it ended up getting them over the hump in what was, again, one of the worst. This might have been their worst 3-point shooting game of the season. I'm going to look that up real quick while I pass it off to you to take it wherever you want.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think part of the issue with this game, too, was when you look back on it, you're going to see that the Cavs didn't really have a lot of primary ball handlers and initiators in this game. And it feels like for a bulk of the game, they were kind of struggling to figure out who's going to kind of start their offense, especially when Garland's off the floor. Garland leaned very heavily into being the facilitator, I feel like, early on, especially when his shot wasn't falling. And then as the game went along, the offense truly came together in the fourth quarter, and that there's no coincidence that also coincided with Garland being at the helm again. But it's tough when you don't have Jerome, you don't have Mitchell, 2 players who, while the Cavs offense has like a selfless mentality to it, you need initiators to get the offense flowing. And it felt like at times that the offense was stagnant. And it was just because there weren't many players who could kind of get a possession going on the floor. You have to turn to names like Craig Porter Jr. You have to let Javonte Green go out there and put on a really sick dunk contest performance. And Max Strus obviously has rapport, but it feels like they really only use his facilitating when it's off of a pick and roll action with one of the bigs. So it's just, you have to figure out ways to win with the numbers that you have. And I think the Cavs did a good job of that. But this isn't something where I don't think the Cavs have a blueprint for a situation in which they don't have Ty Jerome and Donovan Mitchell in a playoff series. It's just, you got to take each game, one game at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this did not feel like a Cleveland Cavaliers basketball game with the way that we've seen them play all year. And yes, this was the worst 3-point shooting game they've had all season. They shot 23.8%. I think that says tonight. Their previous worst was 26%. So this was like actually kind of by far their worst shooting game of the year. This was an ugly basketball game. And they only finished with 15 assists too, which I'm checking real quick. That is also a season low. So the offense was just they were not playing offense the way they usually do, right? Not shooting threes, not moving the ball all that well. It really did feel like a throwback 2021 game where Darius has to do it all. And thankfully, he did it all in the fourth quarter. So the Cavs, like I said, 15th straight win. They have a chance for 16 on Friday against Memphis. We'll be here on Playback streaming that game. And I can't wait because I really think the Cavs have a chance to do it. It's going to be a tough game, but they managed to steal some rest for their guys, as Demo mentioned. Mitchell, Jerome, and Hunter should all be well rested. And even the guys who played tonight, you get a couple days off until Friday, and you have a chance to go pick up the 16th straight win. So thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight.